401k, 403b, 457b, 401a. Have I completely confused you? Probably. You're not alone. We're breaking it down and putting you back in control. Next on Compounding Change.
This is the Compounding Change Podcast, sharing stories of small but meaningful changes that compound into amazing impact. Brought to you by Shannon Davis and DavisCompoundingChange.com. Change happens fast. Take advantage. Discussions on this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to DavisCompoundingChange.com or this podcast. Now, here's your host, Shannon Davis.
Welcome back to Compounding Change, where we talk about how small, intentional actions can build big change in your finances, your health, and your future. I'm Shannon Davis, your host, a certified retirement counselor, a financial advisor, and today we're going to unpack one of those topics that seems complicated, but really doesn't have to be: deferred compensation. Close to my heart. And all the different retirement plan options that come with it: 401ks, 403bs, 401as, 457bs, and even things like Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. By the end, hopefully you'll feel a little bit more confident knowing which plan you have, what questions to ask, and what decisions you can make next. So joining me today is my sister and co-host for the day, Jenna.
Well, hey, Shan. So just all of a sudden, those numbers that you rattled off, I'm already getting confused. So this is going to be a good one because I have heard you talk about deferred comp before.
Mm-hmm.
And recently it's when it comes like to open enrollment times, I'm always looking at Aaron's benefits. And I noticed something new this time where it had mentioned employer sponsored deferred comp. And I figured that's probably pretty similar to what you've talked about before. But this one looked a little different to me. So I thought, let's have this conversation, because as much as I thought I knew about retirement planning and just all these different buckets of where and how to save your money, even I'm getting confused on that. So let's bring this into the conversation today. Help me out. Help me unpack this.
All right. Well, that is a perfect place to start. And you're right. It sounds similar, but there's some really key differences and important differences. So let's break that down.
Okay. So before we get started, or maybe to get us started, can you just start us off with explaining what deferred compensation really means?
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like a lot of words, right? But deferred just means delayed. So deferred compensation, deferred comp is what we often refer to it, so we don't have to say the whole word, but deferred compensation's the money that you earn but choose to receive later. So usually that's in retirement. By delaying part of your paycheck into one of these plans, you get two benefits. You're saving for your future and potentially lowering your taxable income today.
Okay. So, all right. So that makes sense, right? Like you pay yourself later, and maybe you're just keeping more of your paycheck from going to taxes right now.
Exactly. So think of it as your future paycheck waiting patiently for you down the road. You're basically pressing pause so you can press play later.
Okay. Totally makes sense to me. But here's where I get confused. When I saw employer sponsored deferred comp on the benefits list, it did not look like a 401k or it was retirement, but wasn't 401k. And I just wanted to know or better understand, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the same thing happened to me, looking at Jeff's stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, I deal with deferred comp all the time. This isn't saying the same thing, right? So it is a question that I get often, and there's really two different kinds of deferred compensation plans. So you've got the first kind's qualified, which just means that the IRS rules for retirement savings. And that's the things like the 401k, the 403b, or for public employees, your 457b. The second kind, though, is a non-qualified, which is usually offered as a special perk for certain leadership or key employees.
Okay. All right. So that makes sense. So in our case, because Aaron's in the private sector, he has a 401k. So that whole like employer sponsored deferred comp thing that was listed separately, like that did sound like something else. And that's why I wasn't sure if it worked the same way.
Right, right. And that's often where people get tripped up or confused. In the private sector, that extra employer sponsored deferred comp is usually the non qualified plan. So, an easy way to picture it, a qualified plan like a 401k, a 457b, is like a retirement savings account with your name on it. It's yours, it's protected, and it follows you even if you leave your jobs. That's why you hear about rollovers and such, right?
Okay.
So a non-qualified plan is more like your employer giving you an IOU for later. That could be scary, but they keep the money on
Right.
their books and pay it out to you in the future. But it's not technically yours yet.
Okay. All right. So one plan, like a 401k or the retirement plan, there are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of numbers there. 401k, let me see. I got 457b. And was there another one that you mentioned? I
The
can't recall.
401a.
401a.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
All of that is like, that's your money or our, my
Mm-hmm.
money,
Right.
right?
It'd be
I
great
made it
if
for
it
the
were all your
future.
money, right?
It's not for everybody. No.
Right.
The other, the other is
Your
the company.
individual money. Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. And then the other one, this like deferred comp thing, especially if it's the non qualified, is the company saying, you've earned this, but you have elected for us not to pay you this right now. We're going to pay it to you later.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, you could kind of think of it like a pension, but
Mm,
it's not. It's your own money that you're setting aside. So that will pay you later type, the non-qualified plan is more common in the private sector.
okay.
Now, I work with a lot of public sector folks, the firefighters, the city employees, the county workers. That 457B is their main deferred comp plan, and it works a little bit differently.
Okay. So 457B is, public sector version of the 401k then.
Right.
Okay.
So you could say they're cousins. So
Mhm.
both let you save pre-tax and grow your money tax deferred. But the 457B has one huge advantage. I love this. There's no early withdrawal penalty when you separate from service. So that means
Wow.
if you retire at 52 or 55, as a lot of firefighters do, you can start using your savings right away. There's no waiting till 59 and a half like a 401k. That is the big difference. And that can be the difference between saying, I have to keep working or I'm going to retire when I'm ready.
Okay. Wow. That is really huge. And I mean, I really do imagine, especially for first responders or anyone in that
Mm-hmm.
public sector who do retire from that job earlier than
Lots of
people
big
in the
words
private
for us
sector.
today.
Yeah. Yeah. Big and hard words, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, but I can just see what a big difference that would make.
Yeah,
Someone.
spot on. Exactly. And that's why the 457B is such a powerful tool for public employees. It's theirs, it's portable, and it gives them flexibility when they're ready to transition out of the workforce.
Okay. So when we hear deferred comp, the key is knowing which kind that
Mm-hmm.
that plan is talking about. Like, is it the non-qualified, which is kind of, I'm going to put in my head now as the IOU from the company,
Right.
um, or from the employer, or your own like 401k or 457b. It's something that those are the ones that you control. So deferred
Yes.
comp is like this big umbrella.
Yes. Yes.
Then you have things
Yes.
under that. Okay, got it.
Exactly. So they both help you save for the future, but the structure, ownership, and flexibility are what's totally different.
Okay. So we've been throwing out a lot of these numbers like the 401k, the 403b, the 401a, 457b. Okay, it's kind of starting to make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you
So
just kind of talk to me a little bit more about that?
yeah, absolutely. So, I referenced the cousins, right? So picture a
Yeah.
family reunion, same last name, retirement savings
Mhm.
is the last name, right? But
Okay.
each one shows up wearing a different name tag. So the 401k that works for private companies. You contribute, and many employers throw out a match, which is like Aunt Patty slipping you some cash just for showing up, right?
Oh, that would be lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 403B, same purpose, different workplace. Think your nonprofits, your hospitals, your schools. So
Okay.
same idea, just kind of classified a little differently. All these numbers too are the IRS line, the codes.
Okay.
So, we've got reference like a big encyclopedia, right? So there's these references of the numbers. So the 401A is usually for public employees, and those contributions are typically mandatory. And the employer calls the shots on how much gets saved. So, which is kind of like Uncle Frank, maybe a little bossy, but he's steady. So, no matter
I
no
get it.
matter now it all makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So no matter which cousin you have, the big win's this. You get to save for your future through work, often
Mhm.
before taxes come out, so your money can
Mhm.
grow tax deferred. But many of these plans are now offering the Roth option too, which, we all love Roth. We hear about how Roth is so great, but
Mhm.
which that's after tax savings today in exchange for tax-free withdrawals later. So you pay
Okay.
your taxes and then free withdrawals later. It's choosing between paying for the family picnic now or paying for it later. Either way, you're fed, but the timing matters. So, same family, just different personalities, and each one gives you a powerful way to invest for the future you.
Okay. All right. So, we're talking so much about savings, and just kind of occurred to me, and I think this would be a good place to let me just pause
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledge for a moment because I'm just really cognizant of the fact that in this current environment that we are all living in, I suspect there is at least one person, probably a whole heck of a lot more, who are listening and thinking, yeah, 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 this all sounds great, but like I can barely pay my bills right now.
I get that a lot.
And right. And like
Mm-hmm.
this idea of savings, it's great, but it's a little pie in the sky stuff for me. I get it, right? Because like life is expensive and saving can feel really impossible. Um, so just to acknowledge that if anyone who's listening is feeling like that, one, my heart goes out to you because it is a really challenging and a tough place to be. And I will add on is do pause and consider if there's a small way that you can start to create your savings.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that number is for anyone. I mean, it could be, I'm going to throw out a number, $5 a week or
Mm-hmm.
$5 a day. I mean, for some people, that's still going to feel like a stretch, but there is a way to save. But I also just wanted to acknowledge that I know for some people, like it is really, really hard to be
Mm-hmm.
thinking about savings in that way. Um, and I bring that up just one thinking about like what's happening in current environment, but also to speak from personal experience too. It's not just from like some sort of financial theory, financial textbook or
Mm-hmm.
anything. And if I may, do we have time to just share a quick personal, like recent experience and
Sure.
why this feels so relevant, or at least
Sure.
why it's popping up in my mind? Okay, so earlier this year, I needed to replace my car. And normally I have for many years have really tried to just save enough money so I can pay cash for when I do need another car. And I usually do that by holding on to my vehicles for about 10 years or so.
Definitely.
All right. But this time I had other priorities. There were some house projects that needed to be completed.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there were going to be some other, healthcare expenses and whatnot coming up for that we would have to pay for. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at this pot of money going, I could just take all of this and pay for a new car, but then I could be in a bind for some of this other stuff. So just kind of looking at how that cash flowed, I elected instead, because I did need to get a new car, to finance the car and manage it like that cash flow within like my month, more of my monthly budget. My goal is to pay the car off early. But
Right.
I say all of that and bring that context up is because one, I admit like I was really nervous about making that car payment because it had been decades since I'd made a car payment.
Right.
And I thought, oh gosh, will this really tighten things up? Like, what is that going to feel like? But you know what? When that first payment hit and I needed to pay that, it didn't have nearly the same impact that I expected it to. That got me thinking, huh, how much money am I actually leaking out that could have gone towards savings? You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so, and that's why I bring it up is we might all be surprised at, I'm going to call it like where we leak money and we're thinking, I
Yeah.
can't afford to do this or that. But I'm like, holy moly, if I would have even a year ago been saving what my monthly payment is, it could be a very different scenario. I'd have more savings.
Yeah.
There comes a moment when doing more isn't the answer. Being more of yourself is. Hi, I'm Jenna Stoliker, a leadership coach who helps you navigate change by coming home to what matters most. If you're standing at a threshold and wondering what's next, let's walk it together. Learn more at jennastoliker.com.
And I just saw on Facebook today a whole reference of, how people can't afford to not have two incomes, a double income household. But then it also referenced all the extra stuff that we spend, and that $8, $10 latte or whatever. So to your point earlier about the savings, on a smaller scale than just a new car, which is huge, but on a smaller scale with the new car, if you just give up a coffee a week or whatever, maybe you're already making your own coffee and you never go out, but there's something that we could give up to do that $25 or $50 a month savings. And starting now, you look back and you see how much you could have saved over the years. And I know both you and I go back and look at when things were hard, right? But
Right.
most people don't need a giant spreadsheet. They just need that visibility. So when you can actually see, like you said, where your money's going, that's when you feel in control. And budgeting is a whole topic on its own. And I think we should maybe come back to that at another
Yeah,
episode.
totally.
But I will say that when you start paying yourself first, even in a small amount, you flip the script. You move from reacting to life to shaping it. So the best part is, when you contribute to a 457B or a 401k, that money goes in or can go in pre-tax. It starts working for you before it ever lands in your checking account. So you don't feel the full hit today, but future you will thank you big time. And
Yeah.
now many workplace plans, I mean, I'm seeing it less and less that it's not offered, but they're offering that Roth option, which is awesome because it gives you another bucket of tax-free income down the road. Plus, those contribution limits are higher than what you'd get on an IRA or a Roth IRA. So
Oh,
if you're already contributing through work and you want more flexibility, that's where IRAs can come into play, or traditional IRAs similar to a 401k, pre-tax now, tax later, all
wow.
that.
We're getting a whole bunch
I
of stuff.
know it's going
Can you
down.
hang with me for just a second longer? Tell me a little bit more about like that Roth IRA. I've heard like a flipping it, or I
Mm-hmm.
think you just referenced that. Um, Tell me a little bit more about
Yeah.
IRA, Roth IRA.
So a Roth IRA, like we've talked about before, it flips that. So you pay the taxes now, and your growth and withdrawals can be tax-free later, which can be huge wins if taxes rise in the future, which, that's enough said, right? A
Yeah.
quick heads up though. And this was several years ago, many years ago, this was a newer point for me, but IRAs and Roth IRAs come with income limits and eligibility rules. And depending on what you're already contributing to work, your ability to deduct or contribute could be reduced. So this is definitely a check with your financial advisor or tax professional to make sure you're using the right accounts in the right way.
Okay. All right. So I'm hearing like some different buckets, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right.
Bucket planning. Love bucket planning. It's kind of a mental thing of how, where your money is going to go and where it's going to come from. So pre-tax and tax-free can give you more control, more options, and more confidence in retirement.
Okay.
It's not about knowing every rule though. It's about knowing who to ask. It's not
Right. Right.
who
Well,
you know, it's who I know, right?
right. Well, and it is a really good reminder. It's not just about like being perfect with money. It's really about being proactive. And certainly there's going to be things that happen that weren't planned for, or all of a sudden you find yourself into, I don't know, maybe getting into a certain habit or a pattern. You can always course correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think partnering with the right kind of financial advisor for you makes
Mm-hmm.
like all the difference in the world. And uh, I will say, just from, again, I'm going to talk from personal experience. You, it's okay to like get really like how do I want to say this? Get clear with what do you want from a financial advisor, because it's not
Yes.
just it. how do I say, it's not one person doesn't do the exact same thing as the next financial advisor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Consider finding somebody who can meet you where you are, help you clarify your goals, show you what's possible about making, you know, your dreams come true, or, you know, you achieving your goals, but without feeling judged or making you feel like, oh gosh, I'm behind
Yeah.
on whatever thing, right? Um, and I'm going to say this because not only because we're we're related, but just from over the years and seeing how what you have learned in your approach over the years and how you explain things. Um, I'm going to say I happen to know a really good financial advisor who does that every day.
If you're talking about me, then I'll take that. I'll take that
Yes, I
plug.
am.
Thanks, Jen.
You're
But
welcome.
yeah, but seriously, having someone in your corner who gets, like you said, gets your world, gets your goals, gets your quirks, it's huge
Yeah,
because the little details are rarely little. And
yeah,
those details can add up to real money and real stress relief. Like,
yeah.
and this is where it goes deeper. And people so often think that I'm going to pick the stock for them, that it's going to, make the difference in their retirement. But it's not about that as much about which account should you pull from in retirement first.
Mhm,
When it makes sense to pull your money from Roth versus pre-tax money, or how to
mhm.
avoid paying more taxes than you need to, right? It's kind of like, since we just finished up recently on Halloween, right? It's kind of like
Yeah,
having a strategy for eating your Halloween candy.
right.
Pace yourself
Wait,
and
there's a
pick.
strategy.
There is. Don't you sort it? You got to pick your favorites at the right time. You make it
Okay.
last a whole lot longer that way.
Ah, okay. All right. That is super helpful. I probably should have had a strategy for my Halloween candy
Yeah,
years ago, but at least I know I'm getting better at having a strategy for my money in the buckets there.
right. Yes.
Okay. So we've covered a lot around the whole like deferred comp thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's can we switch gears just a little bit and move into retirement questions for I'm going to frame this as retirement questions for people who are probably 50 years or beyond that
The
that they
golden
might have.
years.
Is that fair to do?
Yes.
Okay.
I love lightning rounds. So
Okay.
also, if
Awesome.
people have questions, they should send them to us, and then maybe we can
Yes.
do some lightning rounds, or just have a whole show on lightning rounds of questions,
Oh,
right?
that would be fun. That would be fun. Okay, so let me get into this. When I say lightning, we'll see if we can pick up the pace a little bit. And here we go. How
Okay.
about this one? If I'm 55, is it too late to start contributing more?
Never, never too late. I hear that. I mean, people will be a year out from retirement, but once you hit 50, the IRS gives you a catch-up superpower. So obviously they're considering that maybe you didn't do it all early on, right? So
Mhm.
you can contribute extra each year. And if you're in a 457B, there's actually something called the 3-year special catch-up window before
Oh,
retirement where you can double your limit.
wow. Okay.
Hmm.
That sounds like something some people might want to look into. All right.
Definitely.
So I think it's like basically here, what I would equate this to is it's kind of like the government, the IRS saying, "Hey, you're near the finish line. Like, go ahead and sprint this one out."
Exactly. Take off, run. Although my sprinting happens to be about the same pace as my all running. So, but even a
Just
few
keep
years,
at
right?
it.
Right, exactly. Even a few years of higher savings can make a big difference around once that compounding kicks in.
Okay. So that actually brings up the other question I have for you is so if I plan to work a few more years, just a few more years,
Mm-hmm.
should I still max out my savings?
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Every extra year is bonus time for your money to grow. Compounding rewards consistency, and even one extra year of contributions
Mhm.
and growth can mean thousands more when you retire.
All right. Okay. So like adding another coat of paint, the more layers, the stronger the finish,
Exactly.
I think.
So you're strengthening your financial foundation each year you keep going.
Okay. All right. I think I have maybe just one more question for you. For those who may have a mortgage,
Mm,
there's this question I've heard recently.
always.
Aaron and I were just talking about this too as we get closer to retirement. Should I pay off my mortgage or keep
Hmm.
saving?
Classic debate, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had this discussion with many, but my take on it is this: liquidity equals flexibility. You can't easily tap into your home equity without selling or borrowing,
Mm-hmm.
but money and savings gives you options.
Okay.
So you want to feel secure, not stuck.
All right. I That makes sense, right? It's like the house gives you roots, but your savings gives you the wings.
Perfectly said. You want both. You want stability and freedom.
All right. Well, and it's true, right? Because I do believe like most of us want that feeling of being grounded and free to move when we need to.
So true. Yep.
Yeah.
I know. Well, you guys came down to that with your decision and not being
Yeah.
bogged down with two houses. But,
Hmm.
whether it's your deferred comp or your 401k or your 457B, I know we're throwing out all these numbers and letters.
I know.
The whole point of smart saving after 50 is to give yourself choices. And I always say that with the firefighters. Saving now gives you choices later. And retirement shouldn't feel like a cliff you're about to jump off. It's a runway you can build one decision at a time.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And the more you do understand your options, like I'm still learning, like, oh, wait, there's another way to look at this, or there's even another option I hadn't considered. It does increase your confidence. And so I'm going to keep using your like runway thing. It, because I'm like all about like the metaphors today, apparently. I'm going to say when you feel more confident, it's like you feel like you're steering your own plane down that runway.
Right. I did walk into that, with Aaron being a pilot and all, right?
No, you did.
Just flew right into that. Financial couldn't help
Stop.
it. Financial freedom, though, isn't just about money. It's about peace of mind. It's about knowing you've created a life that supports, of course, your health, your dreams, and your future self.
Yeah, I do love that. And I have to say, like, this conversation's been very helpful for me to see kind of how all these pieces fit together.
Mm-hmm.
So we covered the retirement piece around deferred comp and all the various cousins,
Numbers, right?
all the numbers, all the cousins related to that, and then including like the IRAs and Roth IRAs, but just realizing that they're all tools that work with you, and even better when you understand how to use them. So please, for anyone listening, do consider finding a financial advisor. Ask some of these questions to say, hey, I don't know about all of my retirement options. Can I sit down and talk to you about what do I have access to? That might even just be a great start.
Yeah, and that's the magic. Taking something that sounds complicated and turning it into something you can actually act on. So if you're listening today and thinking, oh, I wish I'd started earlier, don't worry. The best time to start was yesterday. But the second best time is right now.
Amen to that, right? Like, and small steps really do compound into big change. And I think that's just the really cool part of
Premise of the show, right?
exactly.
Yeah, they sure do. And life compounding change and money compounding change. But if you're a public employee here in Ohio, where I am, and you'd like to talk through your 457B or retirement plan options, you can always reach out through Compounding Change or connect with me through the OAPFF. We can look at what you already have, what you might be missing, and help you feel confident about your path forward.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Shan. I always love these conversations because I walk away with some, new insight and motivation to kind of take a deeper dive into what my options are.
Truly, same with me, Jen, because I swear every time we talk about this stuff, I'm reminded that money doesn't have to be scary and that most people just need a little guidance and a cheerleader in their corner. Financial wellness is self-care. It's building support today so your future self can breathe easier later. So keep compounding change one small, powerful choice at a time.
This has been the Compounding Change Podcast with Shannon Davis. If you are a firefighter or first responder, you know that change happens fast. Life changes, finance changes, compounding change. Shannon Davis is a certified retirement counselor who understands the needs of Ohio Association of Professional Firefighters members. Click on daviscompoundingchange.com to learn more. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to DavisCompoundingChange.com or this podcast. Please note that investment involves risk and no statements made in this recording are indicative of future performance. The Compounding Change podcast is brought to you by Shannon Davis.